In this lesson, we're going to look at some examples of problems from the assignment called Tough Conversions. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through and we're going to do problem number 7 first, then number 8, and then number 5. And to do this, you're going to want to reference this chart up here. Unfortunately, due to the app that I'm using here, this chart at the top here will not be in front of us for every single problem. So you might want to have out your Tough Conversions assignment as a reference for this. So let's take a look at example number 7 first. So we're going to go from inches to meters. So the first thing we have to do is figure out how to go from inches to meters. And if you look up at the chart, there are no conversions that go directly from inches to meters, which makes this a little bit of a tougher conversion, hence the title of the assignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this first one here, that is 1 inch, and we are going to convert that to centimeters first, okay? So we have that conversion, 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So we're going to convert from inches to centimeters. Now, once we have our centimeters, now we can go from centimeters to meters, and that conversion is right here. You have 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So once we convert from inches to centimeters, then we can convert from centimeters to meters, and we'll get to the unit that they want us to do. Okay, so that's what we're going to do for this first example. So I'm going to go here, and I have this problem blown up a little bit higher. So we said we were going to use the conversion that 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters, and then we were going to use the conversion 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So those are the two conversions we will have to use. So to start with, we're going to start with our 32 inches, and we're going to have to multiply by 2 fractions since there are 2 conversions that we're going to do. Now the process is the same as our regular unit conversions. So the first thing we've got to do is figure out in this first conversion up here, which one of these, 1 inch or 2.54 centimeters, which one has to go on the bottom of the fraction. And remember from our last lesson that the units need to be diagonal from each other. So if it's inches here, then we need inches down here. So the 1 inch is going to go on the bottom, and the 2.54 centimeters is going to go on the top. So then we need to go from centimeters to meters. So again, since we have centimeters on the top here, we need centimeters to be on the bottom here. So that means the 100 centimeters goes on the bottom and the 1 meter goes on the top. All right, so then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cancel our units. So we're going to make this a fraction first, and we're going to cancel the diagonal units. So the inches cancel and the centimeters cancel, and so now we're going to multiply straight across. So this is where you are allowed to use a calculator. We have 32 times 2.54 times 1 on the top, and we end up with 81.28 on the top, and we have meters on the top. Then on the bottom, we're going to multiply 1 times 100, and you get 100 on the bottom. So then to finish this, you have 81.28 divided by 100, and again, you are allowed to use a calculator for that, and you get 0.8128 meters. So that's the answer, 0.8128 meters. Now some of your assignments do have you round, and so let's say we're going to round to the nearest tenth. Then we would have this 1 tells you to keep the 8 the same, so it'd be 0.8 meters if we were going to round. So there's one example. Let's take a look at another example here. So this example, we have 420 ounces to pints. So the first thing we've got to do is figure out how to go from ounces to pints. So again, if you reference that chart at the top of Tough Conversions, you will see that we can go from ounces to cups first. Okay, so our first conversion is going to be 1 cup equals 8 ounces. And I think on the sheet it might say fluid ounces, but that's the same thing. Okay, so then from there, we are going to convert from ounces to, now we have cups. So now we're going to go from cups to pints. Okay, so we have on the sheet 1 pint equals 2 cups. Okay, so now we have cups to pints. So we went from, I'm sorry, just a minute here. We went from ounces to cups, ounces to cups, and now we're going to go from cups to pints, which is exactly where we want to be. Okay, so we're going to start with our 420 ounces, and we have 2 conversions to do. So we are going to draw 2 fractions, and we're going to go ahead and fill this in. So since ounces are on the top here, we need ounces on the bottom. So ounces goes down here. So it's 8 ounces, and then 1 cup goes on top. And then since cups are on the top here, we need cups on the bottom here. And so we have 2 cups on the bottom and 1 pint on the top. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and multiply straight across. So our ounces cancel and our cups cancel. And on the top you have 420 times 1, which is 420, and this is pints, divided by, on the bottom we have 1 times 8 times 2, which is 16. So then to finish it, we're going to do 420 divided by 16, which gives you 26.25, and the unit would be pints. So 26.25 pints. And again, if you were going to round, it would be 262, oh, I'm sorry, 26, it would be 26.3 is what that would round to if you were rounding. All right, one more example. So in this last example, we're going to go from miles to centimeters. So the first thing we have to do is figure out how to go from miles to centimeters. Well, the first thing I notice is that miles is customary and centimeters is metric. So I'm going to look in that customary and metric column on your Tough Conversions worksheet. And we're going to first get our miles into the metric system. So my first conversion is going to go from 1 mile to kilometers, which is 1.6093 kilometers. Once I have kilometers, then we're going to take 1 kilometer, and we then are going to convert that into meters, which is 1,000 meters. That's from the middle column on your sheet. And then now that we're at meters, now we can take that 1 meter and convert it to centimeters. So 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So we went from miles to kilometers, kilometers to meters, and meters to centimeters. So this example actually requires 3 conversions. So on this one, we're going to start with our 1.2 miles, and since it's 3 conversions, we're going to have 3 fractions in this one. Okay, so I'm going to set up my 3 fractions. And now, the first one, we have miles to kilometers, and since miles are on top here, we need miles on the bottom. So miles goes down here, and then the 1.6093 kilometers goes on the top. Okay, so now we're looking at this conversion. Since kilometers are on the top here, we need kilometers on the bottom here. And so 1,000 meters goes on the top. And then finally down here, since we have meters on the top, then meters goes on the bottom down here, and 100 centimeters will go on the top here. All right, so now we're going to make this one a fraction, cancel our units, so the miles cancel, the kilometers cancel, and the meters cancel, so we're left with our centimeters, which is what we wanted. And now we're just going to multiply straight across. Okay, and again, you are allowed a calculator. So 1.2 times 1.6093 times 1,000 times 100 gives us 193,116 centimeters on the top. And on the bottom, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 gives us 1 on the bottom with no unit. So when you divide that, you get 193,116 centimeters. 193,116 centimeters. So that is your answer. So there are some examples of tough conversions.